My neighbor's wife abandoned their 6 foster kids with a note saying she never signed up for this. I showed her what stepping up actually looks like. The first time I met Angela, she rolled her eyes at me. I'd brought over a welcome casserole when she and her husband Lincoln moved in 3 years ago with their 6 foster kids, all half-siblings ages 4 to 16. She took the dish, looked me up and down and said, "Great, another neighbor who's going to judge how we parent." Then she shut the door in my face. Lincoln came over later to apologize. He explained Angela was stressed, that fostering was harder than she expected. I told him I understood, but I watched her after that. I watched her sit in her car scrolling her phone while Lincoln wrangled all 6 kids out of the grocery store alone. I watched her leave for girls' weekends that stretched into 5 days while he handled everything. I watched her snap at the little ones for being too loud, too needy, too much. These kids had already been through hell. The youngest flinched at loud noises. The older boys ate like food might disappear. They needed patience and stability. Lincoln gave them that. He'd come home wrecked from his construction job and still shoot hoops with the boys until dark. Angela gave them size, eye rolls, and bare minimum effort. I'd aged out of foster care myself at 18, with nothing but a garbage bag of clothes and a decade of work to build a life from that. So watching Lincoln fight to keep these 6 kids together while his wife checked out hit different for me. I knew exactly what those kids would lose if someone gave up on them. Then Angela became an official beach. She'd been having an affair with Lincoln's brother for a year. All she left was a note on the counter saying she never signed up for this, and that fostering had stolen her life. Lincoln came home to 6 kids, a piece of paper with more questions than answers, and half his belongings gone. I found out because the youngest knocked on my door asking for a sandwich. She said, "Dad's been sitting on the kitchen floor crying for a really long time." I walked over and found Lincoln at the table holding that note like it had physically wounded him. He broke down and told me everything. I promised I'd help however I could, and I meant it, but I knew what was coming. The system would rip his family apart. I was there when the social worker showed up a few days later. She looked around the house, looked at Lincoln, and said the words I knew were coming. "Single men rarely get approved for any foster kids, let alone 6 children. We'll need to reassess." That was the first hit. The second hit came a week later when the oldest boy, 14, ran away. Lincoln, the other kids, and I searched for hours. Cops found him at a bus station trying to get back to his biological mom who didn't want him. Then the 8-year-old girl stopped talking, completely, like someone had unplugged her voice. Lincoln tried talking to her therapist about it, but they said they couldn't see any of the kids until he updated their insurance. The worst was when Lincoln's employer cut his hours, all because he couldn't work overtime anymore. He knew financially he couldn't take care of all the kids now. His own mother even called and told him to let the kids go back to the system and rebuild your life. I was sitting on his porch when he hung up on her. One day I came over to cook everyone dinner, and I overheard him on the phone with an attorney. The court date to determine if the kids would be removed was set for 3 weeks out. The night I heard about the bankruptcy, I went home and cried for the first time in years, because I remembered being 12 and watching my foster dad pack my stuff into a trash bag, while his wife stood in the doorway saying, "We just can't do this anymore." I swore if I ever had the chance to help someone like me, I would. The next morning, the oldest girl showed up at my door. She'd been working secretly at a grocery store for 3 months and lied about her age to get hired. She explained that the other kids had been selling their artwork, washing cars, doing yard work. They'd saved $2,400 in a shoebox. Nowhere near enough. But they tried and wanted me to give it to their foster dad and say it's an anonymous donation from the community. I looked at this exhausted kid who'd spent her whole life being failed by adults and said, "Not this time." I called everyone I knew. Within 4 days, we had dozens of people willing to show up as character witnesses and $50,000 raised, enough to help Lincoln buy time. I was at Lincoln's house every day that week, cooking, cleaning, driving kids to appointments. The judge approved the adoption for all 6 kids. One night, we were on his porch after the kids went to bed, and he said, "Why did you do all this to help me? You don't owe us anything." I told him about my time in the foster system, about swearing I'd never be the person who walked away. He started crying. I held his hand. He held mine back. Neither of us let go for a long time.